What's up, everybody? Welcome back to channel CodeX. I hope you guys can see me. My name is Afzal, and today's live stream, as we have discussed, as you have seen the trailer, we are going to talk about the responsive design. And now, with responsive, what I mean is like how you can design something which looks fine even on a smaller device like iPhone 6, 7, or even if you have a bigger device like iPad or tablet. Ashok Kumar says, "Thanks for GetX." Thank you so much, guys. A lot of people have appreciated me for the GetX tutorials I have created, and I'm planning to create more on that because currently I'm working on GetX as full time. Like I'm creating a production level application, so a lot of good tutorials you can expect coming up. Basically, I'm going to demonstrate different scenarios, different examples in this video, in this live stream. I'll talk about how you can make responsive, where to give height with the media query, or where to give something like fixed value height, how to use a scroll view, how to use a different layout, conditional layout. So all those things, all those aspects of responsive design, we're going to talk in this video. And this is not limited something only to Flutter. This applies to every single platform. Like if you're developing for mobile application, web application, it applies. But majority of mainly I will be focusing on the mobile platform. Feature your comment. I would like to learn more from you on the GetX, right? So of course, the more videos are coming up on GetX, but today's video will talk more about the design, and it's not going to be like even specific to Flutter framework. This applies even if you're developing on the native side, Android, iOS. So this is just a best practice, you can say, and how to think about the mobile, because I have seen, literally, trust me, I have seen even senior developers, they are doing the mistake that they're not understanding how the mobile flows, like how we should design for mobile, because maybe they come from the background of website, maybe they come from the background of desktop application, where that it's going to be at least 13-inch or 15-inch or like that. But mobile, we have so much different sizes, and it's really important to clear your perspective, like clear your idea of design guidelines. And just say command 7. That's perfect. So you can see my face also and this design. Now look at these two phone sizes. Now of course we are not going to talk about something like watch face, where you have just an inch of the screen, and not about like a big 44-inch TV. That's totally different topic of discussion. For such kind of scenario, like, let me just clarify, let me just remove this topic of watch and TV first. So if you want to cater those devices, you have to write different layouts for that. Okay, you cannot use the same design and make it responsive for watch, which is like 2-inch device, and same for the Apple TV or something like that, like big like that, 40-inch, 50-inch device. So just keep it away from the discussion of this topic. Mainly we are going to talk about the mobile devices, like iPad, phones, or maybe we can discuss about a little bit desktop and websites, right? So the first thing which we see, this home screen of the Apple device, right? This is an application, of course. This is developed by Apple. And what do you see over here? So this is to clear the base, like this is to set the base what we are going to talk about in next 30 minutes or half an hour or 1 hour. Okay, the first thing which you notice here, all the icon size, like all the icons they have used, is approximately of the same size. So if I make it the physical size over here, you will notice that this calendar icon has exactly the same size looking on iPhone. The difference here is that on the iPad we have enough space, so we are showing more icons instead of just 4 icons, just like iPhone 6, which has a smaller device. And here we are displaying like we are doing a layout calculation. We are doing, this is called computational layout. So you decide based on the device size how many items will fit. And I'll show you with example in Adobe XD. I have prepared really good slides for you. So I'm going to explain that everything, how you can how you can cater something like this. Okay, and now look at the bottom side. So I will just shrink it down a little further so that you can see. Now look at the bottom navigation bar over here. So you will see that the folder icon, the navigation menu, the bottom navigation bar, still it is having the same exact height So whatever height you see over here, it's exact same height they're using even in iPad. And that is the biggest mistake, let me tell you, people are doing. They're scaling their design. So let me show you what I have created for you in the Adobe XD design. 39 people are watching. I'll be taking comments also in between. Like once we finish one of the topic, I'll be taking your comments. So you are good to go with the, if you have any question, you can ask that in comment section right now. Okay. Uh, Praveen is saying that Sizer package is best for responsive design. Maybe it would be. I haven't used that before, so I cannot comment on that. Ashok Kumar is saying, will you use any package in this video? So, guys, let me tell you that I'll not be coding any part here. I'll not be using even Flutter. I'll not even open the Visual Studio Code. This is just, a design guideline, a approach toward mobile application. So using this concept, of course, you can write, I will tell you the tips and tricks in Flutter, like how you can apply the same thing, but that pretty much is a standard across all the other platforms. So I will give you, the generic terms, how you will be dealing with the responsive design size. Okay. So package, you can use any package, or without package also you can achieve all of these things. So just don't worry about the layout builder and different sizes, different packages. I'll just cover that in a moment. Okay, perfect. So I hope I'm sharing my screen now. Let me just switch to this mode. Okay, this is fine. Yeah, this is better. I guess you can see my entire screen and I'm there on the left hand side. All right. So now let's take an example of this device, which is kind of a general, any phone or something where you have this button I just created for the demonstration purpose. You have the bottom navigation bar. Of course, like this design doesn't look, purely as an application, but there's a bottom navigation bar, there's an app bar, and there's a grid going on here. Now, what I have seen people doing, they think of the design as the ratio of the device. So what they will do basically, when they go on the bigger device, they will, multiply the height of the button with that size of the device. So say for example, now this canvas is of 1000 pixel, right? You can see it over here, and I've given the height of this button as 65. So I'm using 6.5% or 0.65% of the, no, actually 6.5, right? So 6.5% I'm using for the button height. Now think about that. If you bring the same height on the iPad, like the bigger device, something like this, it's not gonna look good. Trust me that if you see something big like this kind of a purchase button on iPad, user is going to be annoyed because they're not blind, they can see the buttons, right? And the best example, as I have shown you over here, you can see even the icons are, small, and it's totally fine. It's that is how the native works, because the user is familiar with the device. They know how much should be the icon, so you don't have to scale it up on all the device. And that's what people are doing mistake. They are using some package which gives the ratio depending on the height of the device or width of the device, and they just scale the things, right? So that is the first mistake people are doing, and you can apply this pretty much in any framework, right? Instead of calculating the height based on, the factor of the height of the screen. So say for example, this screen is of 2000 pixels, so you will say 6.5% becomes 130, so let's make it 130. And if you have the smaller device, it's going to be even messy thing, because let's say you have a 500 pixel device, 500 height of the device, then you'll be giving just 33 pixel height of the button, which is like not even clickable. They will get annoyed. So you don't have to stretch things along the side, to make it responsive. The best standard rule of responsive design: let the control flow itself. Let me know also in the comment section if I'm going too fast, or if I'm going like I'm repeating myself, so that I can change my pace. And let me take a few comments also before I proceed with other examples. Altaf is there in the house. Welcome to live stream, Altaf. He says that thanks for making video in this topic, and you got this perfect. Uh, Fazil Maulajan is saying, in your real projects, do you use package for responsiveness? So, to be honest, I don't use any package. Yes, one place we have used multi-size for applying different font size, and that is pretty much fine if you are just applying, the scale factor on the font. But that also applies like where you are using that font. I'll cover that in one of the screen example. So yes, I'm using multi-size, but in very selective places. You have to be very careful when you are going to use any package on whenever you're going to scale things along the different screen sizes. Okay. Okay, Shiva Mani is giving a tip. Have a mini fan aside for cool air, bro. Thank you so much. The AC, is running on 22-degree or 3-degree, but still, when you have these big lights, I cannot make enough of cooling because there's a lot of tension going on. I'm doing live stream. I'm handling the all comments. I'm handling like this all screens. I have to talk. I have to decide what is going to next, so this heat comes up from inside, so any outside temperature cannot work. Wow, that was a good tip, by the way. All right, how to use two containers in a single screen fitting to screen. Two containers in a single screen. Okay, so we talked about the button that keep it of the same size. Now let me give a very important tip here. Let me just write down somewhere here. Okay, I will use a new screen, and I hope you can still see it. Perfect. Don't specify size until you really need it. Okay. What is it? Sorry. Yeah, this looks better. What does it mean? Whenever you create any control, say for example, the button, you specify what is going to be the text of the button, what is going to be the background, the border radius, you can specify, and then just leave it. Don't say that it should be 50 pixel or it should be like 100 pixel. Let the platform decide, because platform is capable of deciding what should be the native look and feel of the button, unless you have something really like desired output you want, where you want to scale the image or something. At that time only you define the size, width and height using either media query or fixed value. That's totally fine. But 90% of the time, don't make a mistake of giving any value to any component. Okay, now trust me, it's going to help you design the layout better way. So first tip which I will give you is, don't specify height and weight until you really need it. Like you have to tweak it, the design some way, then only specify, otherwise let it flow. And that's the main point over here, that the mobile design, because of the different size of the screens, you should just let it flow. Whatever controls you want, just keep pushing in the stack, like one below the other, right? Not that vertical stack, I'm talking about this kind of a column thing, right? So just keep pushing the elements in there, let it flow, let it decide how it's going, like how it's going to show. And then you only tweak the alignments, like okay, I want this center, I want this touching to the edges, I want a little bit padding on the side. So keep the controls free. Don't make it like I've seen people using a grid a lot of time in Xamarin platform. What it does, it divides your screen in like given proportion. So let me just quickly show that image also. I have one here. Okay. So basically what people do, they will divide their screen. This is one of the method, very old method people are using on the desktop and websites. So you have this size of this size of device, and you divide it in three parts, the width in three parts, and this particular section, let's say where you want to display a grid, in three parts. So you will say that any control here just fit in these three cells. Okay, and this grid itself is going to expand on all the devices. So basically what you are trying to do, let me just paste the same thing over here. Okay, so basically what you are trying to do, you are trying to scale your component like this. So if you have something like a small button, it's going to be scaled, like the width is going to be divided in three equal parts, And trust me, it's going to look very ugly on the bigger device, or if you have even like a smaller device, it's going to look non-usable because user cannot click, user cannot see it. So don't make a mistake of scaling. Scaling is a big no that a lot of people use nowadays. They think that dividing based on the screen width or height makes sense, it makes it responsive. It's a big no. Say sorry to mobile platform because you're using it wrong way. Okay, that's one tip. Now let's talk about something else I have over here. Now you can see on top I have a share icon, right? So generally, any icon, when you specify, you don't need to give height and width. It takes the default icon size. If you use icon button, like if you have a clickable icon, so in Flutter framework, you can use icon button. And now don't specify any size. Let it be like that. It will automatically pick the standard size of the device. If you think out of the box, like, okay, let's not take icon button. Let's take a general icon and give it, wrap it inside a container. So you will be specifying 40 pixel height and 40 pixel width, which is like, I don't recommend specifying height and width. You use icon button and let it be free like itself. But say for example you use it, and now you know that when it goes on the bigger device, you're going to scale that, like you're going to make it 80 by 80 pixel, the device where it has a size of 2000, like double the size of the device. So you will make it 80 by 80. Now look at this screen. On iPad you are getting this big icon, whereas it should be something like this, because 40 pixel is enough size for the user to click, because the thumb is not going to scale along with the device, right? So even if you have the smaller device or the bigger device, the thumb size, the area of the thumb which clicks on the device is always going to remain same. So 40 pixel or 50 pixel is enough for the user clickable area, and that is what you should be following inside your design. Okay, so that was another tip. Now let me just prove this with one of the inbuilt application in iOS. So I have something over, let's open the photo application. Okay, and I will open the same application here inside iPhone 6, which is quite a small device. All right, now what do you notice here? All the icons, which I cannot see here in the bottom somehow. Okay, which is fine. Let me find something which has, icons used somewhere so that we can, let me just do a search quickly. Mhm. Not this one. Okay. Okay. No. Yeah, so I will find the icon thing next. But if you see the button size which I was talking, it is pretty much the same on both the device. You don't have that scale version of the button, which I was trying to make a point here. For the icon purpose, let's have a look at this back icon. Now you see the back icon has exactly the same size on the iPhone 6 and on the iPad. So you don't have to scale really to make it responsive. You just keep it, just drop the icon there and let it flow alongside. Like you just define that it should be on the left hand side and just forget it, right? The people word should be on in the center, the icon should be on the left, and just forget it. Let the platform do its job, don't scale it along the side, right? So that is the point mainly I wanted to tell you guys. For responsive design, don't make a heavy use of media query, don't divide your screen width or height in the proportion, and avoid using flex widget also unless you really need it. I will tell you the situation also where you can use flex widget, which basically divides the screen in proportion. So if you say flex of value 112, so basically the 25%, 25%, and 50%. So you divided the screen in four parts, and you say first one is 25, second one is 25, and the third one it takes 50% of the size. You can do in some scenarios. I will tell you that also when you can apply, but majority of time use the widgets as it is. Don't scale, just give the alignment and use it, right? Okay, Xsoft Original in the house. Thank you so much for joining. Good day. Siva M has added some comment. Oh, I forgot to hide your previous comment. Let me just do that. Okay. If you tense, we also feel be tense. You are cool guy. Just calm down and rock it. Okay. Thank you so much. So now come to the point where Sai Kumar Aduri has asked a question: how to use two containers in a single screen fitting to screen? And again, let's take example here. I have something ready for you already. So let's say that I have this container here. So what I will do, I will say that get me the width of the screen, which it will return like 500 as of now, because I have the 500 size of the screen. And I will say divide by 2. So I will get something like 250 pixels, right? So 250 pixel for this, 250 pixel for this, and of course I'm going to do a little bit of padding. So let's say that I reduce 30 or 40 pixels. So instead of 250, I'm going to use 210 on this one and 210 on this one, and other size I have used for spacing. Or you can just ignore the spacing part right now. This container is screen size dot width divide by 2, which gives you 250, and this is also 250. So you get two containers which fits the screen, okay, and each one is taking half of the screen size. Rapcom TV, thank you so much for subscribing, I really appreciate. So we have a new subscriber, new member in the house. Okay, let me also tell, because I talked about the member, you can also join channel CodeX and get extra perk. Like you will get extra emojis while I'm doing live stream. You will get extra video which I upload monthly basis, and sometimes I do it two once in a 2 month because of busy schedule. But of course you will get that access, and some of the post which I do only for members. So make sure, if you can afford that, take a pro membership, or even a geek membership will work. Okay, so the point here that you wanted to fit two container, taking half of the screen width. The problem here is, if you go on the bigger device, your formula remains same, that you want to give the width of the container is size of the screen divide by 2. So again here, your size of the device is 1500 pixel, if I'm not wrong. Yes, the width of the device is 1500, and you are going to say divide by 2, means you will get 750 per container, and you can fit two of them in the screen. Now, does your user really want that? Like, because they have a bigger device, they expect that they should see more content instead of just a scaled version of their smaller phone. So you have something right here, you can see 4 elements. Here also you can see 4 elements. So what is the use of having an iPad and having a iPhone 6 old device? So what you have to do here, you have to define the size which actually goes well with your content. So say for example, let me give you a scenario here. I have one. Okay, so you want to show image of the user. So let's not define any size for the container as of now. You want to show an image of the user. So any size above 60 to 100 looks fine on the device. So if you want to display an image 100 pixel, let's say 100 pixel or 80 pixel currently I've used, and font, of course 1820 font looks fine on the all the devices. So 18 font for the title, and 13 font for the subtitle, whatever information you want to display. So this 80 pixel plus little bit of padding on the side, so let's say total of 160, or maybe you can say 150 pixel, is enough to show the content of your item. So each item takes 150 pixel, which is now a fixed value. Now this is the place where you should be using a fixed value. I said earlier that you should not be using the value, you should not be specifying the size until you need it. So this is the place where you need it. Now I will give you another statement: specify size for custom controls. Now, this is your custom control, your custom widget, and you are aware that a 150 pixel looks fine on the phone. Like user can see the image, user can see the title, subtitle, everything. So freeze that 150 pixel. Don't scale like on the bigger device. You want 300 pixel on the smaller, just shrink everything in the 100 pixel. Don't do that. So this is the point where you have to freeze the size. So what will happen basically? it will not scale down on the smaller device. So instead of 150, you're getting 147. On the bigger device, instead of 150, you're getting 337. You'll be getting something like this. So each item, it's taking 150 pixel, and you can fit as many icons, like as many elements you want, depending on the device size. So what you will do basically, the formula will be, let me just write it over here. Come on, what happened? Am I writing with white color? Yes. So I'll give you the formula, and this is called conditional layouting. Like depending on the size, you have to define a different. You have to change, tweak the layout a little bit. You don't have to replace the complete layout. You have to tweak it so that it looks nice. So I will say something like screen width divide by 150. Okay. Now we're not saying screen width divide by 2. We're saying screen width divide by 150. So if you have 1500 size, like your device has a 1500 pixel on the width, you are going to show 10 elements in here, like, okay, is equal to item per row. Make sense? So as the device size increases, you're going to show that many elements, and that is what user is expecting from you. You have a space, use that, don't just scale it randomly, right? Okay. So I hope this point was clear. Before we move to the next next point, and I show you some a little bit other examples, let's take few comments. Okay, MD Rahul Amin is saying how to make a grid view responsive based on a small and large device. So this is what it takes to make grid view responsive. So the place where you have column count, right? Inside a grid view, there's a column count. Okay? So basically, this will go like this. Uh, yeah, that's a better. I gave you the formula right away. So if you have 300 pixel width, your column count going to be 2, so you'll be showing 2 elements. If you have 150 like 1500, you're going to show 10 elements. So your column count depends on screen width divided by this form factor. Like you have you have made sure that this much 150 pixel is enough. Now people will say that, okay, you are giving a hard coded value, which is not good. But trust me, if you have analyzed the UI, if you have thought like, okay, 80 pixel for the thumbnail image, 18 font size for the title and subtitle, so 150 is going to look good, and trust me, it's going to look on good on all the devices. Just let's get back to the example of this photo application. Where is all of them? No, not this one. Come on, places. This is bad. Let me just. Okay, let me just open again. Favorites. No, I don't have favorites. Recent. Yeah, recent here. Sometime I forget. Okay, recents. So now you see here, they have defined that, like, maybe this is 80 by 80. Consider it 80 by 80. So 80 by 80 looks fine. User can see the preview. So they don't have to make it 160 by 60 or 160 by 160 on a bigger device. So 80 by 80 works fine. And that is what they have used here. On the smaller device, you can see 3 elements. So device width divided by 80 pixel, let's say. 3 items fit here, and device width divided by 80 pixel, it's going to give you these many elements. So the column count you have to change, and that is called conditional layouting. Okay, AR007 is saying, please make a tutorial on payment gateway. Payment gateway, we need to do a setup. So I haven't, came across any payment. Like I'm thinking to do payment gateway tutorial on a Stripe if I can set up my free account there. So I will do that video on Stripe, possibly. Uh, MD Rahul Amin is saying, thanks, sir. I'll get my answer. So yes, Rahul, this is the answer. This is the solution to all the, things people are making mistake, and I have seen, literally, trust me, I have seen people who are having 10 to 15 years of experience, they are also doing this mistake. Like, they're scaling everyone out there. They just think mobile application as like, just scale it on a smaller, make it small, and the bigger, make it big. That's the responsive. No, it's not like that. You have to let the component free itself, let the component flow itself, and you just give a little bit of alignment. You just write conditional coding if it's required. Now, sorry about that, let me have some water. 28 people are still watching. Give it a like if you haven't liked the video. And I believe that you have subscribed the channel Code X, because we upload a lot of useful content, not just a UI design, you know, designing something every day, giving a mock-up UI. Not like that. We do a real-time scenarios. We cover a lot of important topics like Google sign-in, then ad mob setup, then we talk about the state management. So consider subscribing if you haven't already, and let me know in the comment section also if you subscribe, so I can give a shout out. Okay. Uh, Shubham Biswas is saying, "Have you caught cold, sir?" Yes, but not Corona, Alhamdulillah. So, like recently, I was exposed to, you know, sand and mud and this thing. So from then I started coughing, and a little bit of cold also I got. But it's fine. Like when I speak too much, I get cough, but it's fine. We can do still live stream, right? You guys are here to support me. Okay, so let's take this example again here. And now the same point I'm trying to make here. You have the list view where you're showing the title, subtitle, and some icon which represents your item, and the next button which represents, like, okay, this is a clickable, you can go to the detail page. Now, if you apply the scale factor here, what's going to happen? This icon going to be small, this icon going to be small on the smaller device, of course, and this all text will become small, which makes it more difficult for the user to read it, right? Like this. So the proper way, you don't scale anything. You say that my title is going to be 18 pixel. So no matter what device it's running, it will be 18 pixel, and it will look fine because the user is habitual. They have seen all the application, the native application, every every single bit. They are used to it. Even if they have the lower device resolution, all the app icons itself, they have seen the big icons, the big text. So they're not going to complain about your application that it looks ugly. No, it's totally fine, because it is device specific, like how much density it has. So depending on that, the 18 pixel title is going to look fine on all the devices. And same thing, as I have shown earlier in this example also, what you will do is basically you will end up scaling your list, end up scaling your icon, and what you get is still you cannot read the full description because you have scaled everything. You have scaled the font also. So instead of using 16 pixel for description, you're using now 38 pixel. Maybe you calculated based on the height of the device or width of the device, and now it's 38 pixel. Still you cannot read the full text. So the better way would be leave the icon as it is. So you decide that, okay, this is kind of a clickable icon, but of course not this particular. You can click entire row, but it should be like 30 pixel by 30 pixel, which you can see right over here. So keep it 30 by 30 on all the screens. Okay, don't change the size of it, and what you will get is something like this. Now, because the user is familiar, they have the bigger device, they're going to have a little bit of white space, which is totally fine. But you can now read, like if you see the size here, it's 20. Now you can read the full description, and that is what the user expect from your application. You should be having you should be utilizing all the space available to it. Now I'm going to show you one real example which I created long back, I guess 6 months or 8 months back. Sorry about that. So that application is responsive, and I have used that, is of course built inside Flutter, and you can achieve pretty much any in any platform. But the beauty of the Flutter, that the same application I have on Android, iOS, web, and even the desktop with the help of this JavaScript plugin. Okay, so I will share that application with you, and let me take few comments if I have any before I share that screen to you. left my comment above. So Shiva is saying, let me just highlight his comment, and let me also put myself in the center. Cool. For responsive sizing, is it correct to divide height and width of a container with media query? You don't need that. As I said, if you have any content you want to display, just play around with it and define the size. If you have something custom control, just I showed like a thumbnail, title, and description. So you will define the size based on the look and feel, like 100 pixel. Say for example, if you have a user thumbnail, so 100 pixel, it's totally fine. But if you have something, you just want to show icon or something, so you can use even 50 pixel. Or you want any, like if you have any detail image, just like a YouTube thumbnail, which you can't make it a smaller 100 pixel. So first you analyze that how much size is going to look good. Okay, either 100, 200, 300, you just decide that. And once you decide that, okay, this is something which looks fine, user can read it, user can understand, depending on the context of your application. Like I said, if you have a YouTube thumbnail, of course you have to make it bigger, like 300 pixel at least, so that user can see what is there inside thumbnail. If you have just a user profile icon, you can keep it 100 by 100, so no worries with that. So once you decide the size of your element, that custom widget, then you're going to divide your screen width. I'm sorry about that. I need to go to doctor, seriously. Okay, so once you have decided that, okay, this size looks fine on the phone, or like any, just take any random size, and it looks good to eyes, it is readable, it makes sense to the application context, then just divide the screen width by your defined size. So you have to hard code the value here, and that's totally fine. That is what user is expecting from you, the readable value and a multiple of that, instead of stretching everything based on the size, based on the media query. So I hope that makes sense. AR007 again. Oh, that's the whole comment. Okay, so perfect. Now it's time to show you. Let me just share my screen quickly. Okay. So I hope you have seen FloodTuber application. If you haven't, you missed it big times. Okay. Basically, what this application is about, it shows you the top 30 Flutter channels. And of course, we did like a little bit of survey. We collected all the users who create a tutorial on Flutter channel, a Flutter topic. And then we decided based on the subscriber count, how many people, like what is your ranking. So the one who has the most subscriber is going to be number one, which is the Flutter channel itself, official. And you'll be curious to know what is my position in there. I will show you in a moment. Now, before we do that, let me show you the responsive design. Okay, you see this card element here. Now, this is what I was talking about. I have one icon which represents what's going to be inside the card. I have a text which says what it's going to be, like the title, which has a bold and normal font. So I know that looking at the design, that anywhere around 100 to 120 pixel, it's going to look fine. User can see the icon, user can see the text. So that is the point. I have to decide that, okay, each of my card will look 120 pixel width, no matter what is the size of the device. If you have a habit of scaling your content based on the device size, stop doing that. Okay, so let's say 120 pixel. Now think about, I have very thin device, like I have something small just like this one, right? Still, I'll be using that 120 pixel size for the icon, but instead of showing scale version, or like having a layout issue, which I like, this is a extreme condition. Okay, I'm showing one below the other. So this is called responsive application. Makes sense? As your device size grows, now you're showing in a grid form. As it grows further, now you are showing in a this form. Like it's not even a proper grid now. And as it increase further, you have enough room to accommodate 4 items. I will end this live stream really soon because I started coughing more. I should take care of myself also. So the point here is I have decided that 120 pixel for each card looks perfectly fine, and around that I'll be playing with all the screens. Now, one more thing I have done here. If you notice, let me just, where do you get these cool icons? By the way, I created those icons. So in my spare time, once I feel happy, I open Adobe XD and I do a little bit of designing also. So yeah, those are handmade icons. Of course, not this buy me coffee, because this is what they give in their bundle package. This submit and all those icons I created. I know it's not that professional, but it looks fine. It serves the purpose, right? Okay. One thing you will notice here that I have this image right over here, and I have it's a the text which says welcome Flutter community, build together and stuff like that. Now you'll notice as it goes on the smaller device like this, instead of showing side by side, now I'm showing one below the other. So this is also one of the rule of making responsiveness. I have created a tutorial on that, how you can switch on that. So search for a tutorial on CodeX channel for responsive design. You will find that video. So basically, you have to keep listening for the device width, right? Always you have to find the width, and you have to set a breakpoint here. Now this is very important thing for the responsive design. Let me put a note on that. Hide it quickly. Okay, so design breakpoint. Can I scale it? No. From here, maybe format font. Okay, command plus. So that is what I'm trying to do. Like this. Yeah, perfect. I have to select it first. Now let's talk about the design breakpoints which I have used in this design, and this is what the standard practice even in the web technology they're using this device. Because if you see the website, it works fine on the desktop application, it works fine on your device, a mobile device. So they use something called design breakpoints. Now what is it? Any screen width in the range of like below 600 pixel. Okay, let me just put it here. Below 600 pixel, something like this. Yeah. So anything you have less than 600 pixel, or like you can define these breakpoints depending on device sizes. You can keep it 700, you can keep it 600, but you can choose any number, but at least choose somewhere between 600 and 700. Some people they go with 640. So anything below 640 is a mobile device. Okay. And what it means basically, it's not going to be always true that it's a mobile, but basically you're going to pick a layout which you have thought of as a mobile device, even if it's a tablet and it has less than 640 pixel. So which means it is a small tablet, right? So you can consider it as a mobile layout. Anything greater than 640 and less than 1300, or some people they prefer to use 1100, it totally fine. Like you can give any breakpoints, so that you will consider as a tablet device. Now again, with tablet, it doesn't mean that it's a tablet. You may have a computer, you may have a desktop machine which is kind of 11-inch long, right? Or 11-inch in size. So but still the point is, whatever you have decided that this layout I will show on the tablet, you can show on that computer as well. So anywhere when you find the size of the device between this range, you're going to consider the tablet layout. And anything greater than 1100 is going to be your web, or you can say desktop. So for the web version, you will create some design, like some perspective, and that you have to show on greater than 1100 size. And the same thing I have applied over here. Now if you check this design, basically I have given like I don't remember 600 or 700. So as soon as the device width decreases that point, that breakpoint, instead of showing horizontally these two icons, two elements, I start showing them vertically. So there's a breakpoint here, right? Now I'm not sure, like you can keep any point, as I said, 600, 640, 650, or 700, whatever makes sense to you. So after that point, it shows vertically. Before that, it shows horizontally. And you can easily achieve that. You just create two widgets, and based on the layout builder, you either put them in a row widget or either put them in a column widget. That's the whole point of making this vertical or horizontal. I hope that makes sense. And for this item right here, I have already specified that I'm calculating the size first, which is 120 or whatever I've calculated. And then depending on the size of the screen, I'm just, playing around with the flex widget. Sorry, I think flexible widget, right? Or I'm using a wrap around here. Yes. So wrap, what it does, it keeps growing in one direction until it finds the point that the next element will not fit, so it put in the next row. So you can use row wrap widget if you're using Flutter. If you're using Android, you can there's a flexible widget available where you can just specify the item, and depending on the size, it's going to keep adding in the horizontal direction. And as the device size ends, it's going to break down to the next line. Okay, I'm going to take a few comments because I can see people are asking some questions also here. Let me show you something. Let me show you the ranking first on my top 30 channel. Let me make it full screen. So it's fetching the real-time data from all their YouTube channels. I have integrated YouTube API over here to get the real-time subscriber count. On the number one, here we have the Flutter channel. Let me have some water. Okay, on the number one, we have Flutter channel. Can you find me here in the list? Somewhere here. It's right over here, the CodeX channel. It's on 20th rank. So it's you guys' responsibility that I should become somewhere in the top 10. Like, just hit the subscribe button so that I can surpass, the top 10 channels on the YouTube. For Flutter, of course, this is custom made list of the people, and I will show you the list of people also who is participating. I have around 50 people's 50 persons in the list, and out of that, the top 30 channels based on the subscriber count. Even like the one who is having the rank 30 can create better tutorials, but it totally depends on how many subscribers they have. So this doesn't make any sense, much sense, right? Now, the formula which I gave you, the item size, you have to divide the screen width to the item size. And what you're going to get here, I know that each of my item is going to take 80 pixel or 100 pixel, and I have divided with the size of the device. Now as I start scrolling, resizing the device, you will see, come on, you see that the elements started shifting down. Now you can see only 3 elements per row. So consider this as a tablet scenario, and if you go on smaller device like this, you are only having 2 elements per row, and that is what is expected, right? So as your device size changes, you have to calculate that how many columns you're going to fit inside your grid, and that will make it responsive. Now if it becomes smaller, you can of course do the scrolling thing. If it is like big enough that it can accommodate all the elements, then you don't need a scrolling here, right? Or it's scrolling a little bit, but that's fine. Like, it's just a scroll behavior, but it doesn't really scroll anything. That's a iOS behavior. If you have a scroll view, it's going to have that elastic feel. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. And now let me quickly show you list of all the participants as well. So these are all the participants. Like, there are total around 50 participants. And again, here I have applied the wrap widget, and it automatically, brings the element down as the size decreases. And of course, you can scroll it like this. And if you want to check, let me just show you real quick here. Yep. Flat tuber. Yeah. So you can go to this website and you can see, experience this yourself. And this is a live website, so you can, I'll just put that in a comment section below here. Okay. And on the website also, you can play around with the inspect element, or you can resize the window just like that, and you will see that responsiveness on the website as well. Make sense? Okay. So I hope I made the point clear. The the fundamental of mobile design is you keep the controls flow automatically. You don't constrain them, like stick to the end, scale along the side of the devices, shrink based on the device size. You don't have to do that. And I was about to show you the scenario where you can do that. Such thing is like this. Let's say if you have about page where you're just showing an image and a text, then who developed it and the version of the application. In such scenarios, you can apply the scaling factor so that it looks a little bit small on the smaller device and big on the bigger device. It's totally fine, because the key point here is everything is a read only data. There's nothing user is going to interact with. So like, even if they can't see it, it doesn't make any really sense, like, because there's not, it's not going to happen that they are not able to click something, or that something is looking very big to click. So in such scenarios, you can apply scaling factor, but still I will say don't do that. Just define what is the readable size for you. Like, if you want to specify the title of the application, somewhere around 30 pixel or 24 pixel looks fine, so just use that across the application. Maybe you can play around with the app icon, like if you want to emphasize on that. So just scale it based on the screen size, but only the read only data, like image if you have, the text if you have, only just kind of these kind of examples. You can apply the scaling factor, but don't overuse it. Don't use somewhere like you have the sign up form. Let's take example of this one. So you have a sign up form, and now if you shrink it down on the smaller device, what's going to happen? It will look very small. User will not be able to click properly. Instead of clicking enter email, they will be clicking on in confirm email. So you don't have to shrink, and you don't even have to like scale. You have to use the exact same size for the input. So the thumb rule is you don't define the size. You just add the input field and let the platform decide how much height it's going to take. And trust me, like, it will not ask you the height of the input field, it will not ask you the height of the button. You just specify a button, you just give it content, and it's going to work for you, right? Does it happen anytime like you put a button and it's ask you that give me the height of the button? No. That is something you are concerned about. Like, you are overthinking that I have to make it responsive, I have to give it a height depending on the size of the device. Don't do that. Just drop in a height, okay? And what you can do, like, to make it feel better on the device, because of course let's take example of this one only. So in this form, basically, from the left and right, you can see something around 32 pixel of the padding, right? And if I give the same 32 pixel padding on iPad, it's going to look a little bit ugly. Let me show you how. So if I have a form which looks something like this, okay, it's not very intuitive. Like, I can still do the click, I can do the things, but this is too much space to click and give input. So what you can do, you can write something conditional over here, that my layout should not exceed 500 pixel or 600 pixel. So again, this is a point where you have to give a fixed value, and there's no harm doing that. People a lot of time they think that giving a fixed value, it makes the static, like it makes the application static, it's not going to be responsive anymore. No, you have to think of the layout before designing. You have to work, like, there's a whole engineering on all the elements. So if it's an input field, it should not be bigger than 500, because what is the use of input field which is taking entire screen? Of course you're going to type something in less space, right? Or like the clickable area should be less. So for something like this, what you can do, let me just write the comment here. Okay, you can use a min method which is inbuilt in all the platforms, which accepts for the two values. So that 500 or let's say 600 pixel of input or entry size looks fine, and I totally agree. Like 600 for the text field it's totally fine. So you will say 600, minimum of 600 comma width of screen. Okay. Now, what will happen on the iPad? You will get width of a screen as thousands or maybe 1500. Like it's a big device, so you're gonna get thousand. But you are limiting because either from these two values, 600 and thousand, the minimum is 600. So it will always restrict to 600. And now you are also making sure that if you have a smaller device, right? So the width of the screen is gonna come 400. So out of 600 and 400, what is the lesser one? Is 400. So still, like you will not make it 600 pixel on the smaller device, you will keep it as per the device width. And on the bigger device you will say, okay, expand until 600 but don't go beyond 600, right? So these all are aspects, like you have to add a scroll view somewhere, like just say example of this iPhone 6, where we have the sign up form. So instead of scaling down everything, you can have a scroll behavior, which is totally fine with the user because they are aware that I have a small device, but let me click somewhere, right? Don't make it small, everything is small so that they get frustrated. I cannot click. I'm just making all the mistakes. The button is not clickable. The switch is very small. I cannot click it, tap it, right? So keep the controls, interactable controls of the same size, add a scroll behavior, that is totally fine. And define a conditional layout where you can say something like this, that don't grow beyond 600. You can be lesser than 600 but don't grow beyond 600. Then you can write some conditions like I have specified over here. If you have multiple elements, define the size of the element, and based on the screen size you can display that, right? So out of this over here and this one, you have to go with this kind of design where all the icons are still 40 pixel instead of just scaling based on the device. It's still 40 pixel and it's still clickable. All the text title, it's still fine. Just take out any tablet, take out any iPad, and see, you're going to find the application behaving like that. Okay, enough of talking. Let's take few comments, and after that I'm going to end this stream. I hope this was useful. So let's throw some question on me so that I can answer. And also I'm going to complete, like we are as a community, we are going to complete 25,000 subscriber this week. So expect a live stream. Of course, if my coughing is stopped. So we will do a live stream Q&A session where you can ask question, where we can interact with each other, we can better understand our community, we can discuss things like nonsense, uh, and Flutter framework, of course. So we'll be talking around that. We'll talking around some personal stuff also. So Q&A session coming up on 25,000 subscriber. Let's take few questions before we end the stream. And already we have completed 1 hour. That's a good stream, by the way. Okay. Pranali. Okay. Before that, also we have some question. uh, Azraf Al Monzin is saying, make a video about RBI's architecture. So I have to study their architecture. I am not sure how RIB works. Where do you get those icons? I have answered. I create them. Can we build a microservice with Dart? Of course, Dart you can use on the server side. So if you create some APIs with Dart, you can create microservice as well. Regular video viewer and like to waiting for more GetX tutorial as thank you so much, Vishwajit Vaishal, for joining the live stream. He's a regular viewer. I know him by name. So keep coming in the live stream, guys, so that I can identify with your name. All right. Akhil is saying, what architecture is best in Flutter? Whatever architecture suits you, but I prefer to keep it all the controller based. So we have in one file all the UI, which is views, the controller, and the model, and all for services, like for all the API calls, we have a services folder. So I keep that architecture like MVC, you can say, but it's not uh, completely MVC, but we kind of go in that direction where we are sticking to MVC pattern. We create model separately, we create views separately, and controller, which kind of a glue between the UI and the backend data. Okay. Shubham Biswas is saying, can you create a widget like drop down menu button in a list style trailing? I had to make this and face difficulty to scale it properly. So, drop down menu button in a list style trailing. Okay, that's a weird combination. So basically, you have a list style, like you have multiple elements, and each element you want to show a drop down, right? You can do that because, but there's a catch, because if you're working with the list style, which is inbuilt component inside of Flutter, they have given some aspect ratio for each of element. So leading icon, they have a fixed width, okay, proportion of course, and the main body where you put the title, subtitle, and third line is given some width, and the trailing icon has given some width. So instead of using inbuilt list style, you can use something your custom widget. You can use I'm sorry about that. You can use a row inside that, and you can place all the elements and columns. Combination of rows and columns should work fine for you. Okay. Rafael is asking, bro, thank you so much for all the tutorials and knowledge you share. Very good advice. All the best. Keep going. Thank you so much. It gives very positive vibe. Okay. Azraf is asking, sir, please make a video about scalability and socket to WebRTC. So WebRTC is something I haven't explored. I have used a Connecticube library which works based on WebRTC, but as a standard, as an API, I haven't exposed to WebRTC yet. But nowadays, you can easily find libraries which have all those things, pre-made for you, if you can afford that, because you don't have to reinvent the wheel all the time. But of course, if you want to create something custom solution, you want to create a product out of WebRTC, so that is something you have to learn, and that is something you have to go through all the documentation, understand all the protocols they have. WebRTC, the mesh technology, they have like a peer-to-peer communication, sorry, peer-to-peer, then the mesh technology where everyone is connected to everyone. So you have to understand all those APIs, all those mechanisms. Okay. Pranali Jor is saying, how can I listen a scroll position of a scroll controller using GetX? I have tried that, but getting stuck on installation part of the scroll controller inside GetX controller before scroll widget render. So scroll widget, the single child scroll widget, it accepts a controller, and that controller you can define inside your GetX controller, right? So what you have to do basically, you have to initialize at the time you declare, so that you don't face the null issue. Or when you do on init inside a getX controller, that time you give the value to your controller, so that you don't face the null issue. That is pretty simple. So either you do initialization while you're declaring it, or do that inside on init method, and you can use that controller, the scroll controller, inside your page as well. Okay. Which architecture is best? I think I have taken already this question. Okay, you must be higher in list after live. I going to explain this page. Great job, bro. After live. Okay, so I think you're talking about that flood tuber list. So thank you so much. I hope a lot of people subscribe so that I can get a little bit higher on the list. Thank you so much for that. Do you recommend Flutter Flow for design? I have tried Flutterflow, and I doesn't really like much, because at the even if you see like Android developers, they don't really use the drag and drop feature. You ask any Android developer, expert or like senior developer, they write their code in XML. Only few places, like something like about us page or something like simple like that, they do drag and drop. Otherwise, they prefer writing their XML their own, because that gives a lot of control. You are aware what you're doing. So similar way, the code behind is much easier than drag and drop for me. And because a lot of things you cannot define in drag and drop, like you cannot make it doesn't feel good to me. But if it works fine for you, you can go ahead and use that. Okay, this is the place where I added the comment. Okay, you can go ahead and visit this link to see the FloodTuber channel itself, like how the channel are growing on the Flutter topic. You can visit any of them by clicking on the link, because all are hyperlinked. So you can visit all of the channels and choose for yourself what fits for you, because all of the YouTubers, they have great content on their site. So make sure you go ahead and check them. Okay, Asraf, about RIB architecture, I'm not sure, so I'm just skipping this comment right now. Can you make something with server like don't equate it? Okay. So I think I have taken enough comments. So now it's time to say goodbye, and we will meet in another live stream where I complete 25,000 subscriber. Hope soon, really. Let me just check quickly. How many subscriber do I have now? Can we open any window here? Yes, YouTube Studio. I guess 24,800 last time I saw. Mhm. Oh, it's not 800, 24,300. So maybe after 2 weeks, you can expect a live stream. Okay. And the channel is going really good. A lot of people have been subscribing recently after my ad mob video. So thank you so much if you have joined after ad mob because it got really famous in less time. Okay, let's take a couple of question more before I end the stream. So Balaji Information Technology, sir, which database is preferable, Firebase or MongoDB or MySQL? Depends on your tech skills, depend on your skill set. Like if you're good with MySQL, you know the queries properly, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel with MongoDB. But if you ask, scalability wise, MongoDB or Firebase, they work on document based structure, whereas MySQL works on a relational database. So uh, the relational database is not that scalable. Of course, all the applications so far have been developed on relational database, but nowadays the trend is that you develop, you know, uh, what do you call, like node based database. Everything is a node, everything is an element, and you just fetch whatever element you want instead of having relation to other elements. So go with the MongoDB. I will recommend if you can learn that. And Firebase is free of cost, which is very easy to understand and learn. So Firebase is also a good alternative. Okay, let's see if you have any more comment. Code PI is saying, I'm from Ethiopia and subscribe because of a GetX content. Good job. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your comment. Code with Nikhil, how to make a QR code generator from Firebase. Seriously, so for QR code generation, there are APIs. If there are libraries like Zing, where you can pass any URL or any any text, and it will convert you to the. It will give you the output in the QR form, or you can scan any QR and it will give you the text out of it. So you can use the Zing library. It spells like ZXING. So just search for it and you will find a plugin and you can use that. Okay, we have someone who says, I'm in third year and learning Flutter. Will I get internship? Of course, you will get internship once I open a company. Just kidding. Once you complete your final year, you can apply in a company, and Flutter is evolving. A lot of people, a lot of tech companies, they are heading toward Flutter, so you can choose it as a career. You will get internship for sure. Just make sure you are exposed with all the widgets. You know about the HTTP calls. You know about the best practices and the state management thing. That's it. You will get hired after your job, after your graduation immediately. I hope so. But in final year, you can get internship as well. Depend on the location where you are. I think you are from where, from Pune. Pradyuman Pawar, because Pawar, I have seen a lot of people, they belong from Pune. Okay. Maybe probably the last question. Can you please tell how can I have a Firebase notification for data change in Firestore? Okay, this is something I'm not aware. So we cannot end our session on something we don't know. So any more question? And then I will end the session. And to answer your question, Firestore, there should be mechanism to give notification, but I'm not sure, so I cannot tell you live stream because this is being recorded, and I don't want to make a fool of myself saying wrong answer. So yes, you can try around, just search around it. I haven't explored much on the Firebase side, but yeah, you have to go through the documentation. All right. The last one, Ali Sampson. Hello, sir. Can you also prepare a tutorial on block pattern? So I have one video on block where I explain the architecture itself, how the block works. And a lot of people are asking for the tutorial on block, so let me plan accordingly. Currently I'm working on full-fledged Flutter course. So this is for someone who's like a beginner to Flutter framework, who want to understand in 2022. I can say 2021 is already ended. So by the time I finish the course in 2022, if someone wants to learn Flutter from beginning, they want to understand the architecture, they want to understand how the platform is working, how everything is drawing on the canvas, and creating a beautiful application and still functional, like using with all the APIs and everything. So I'm trying to create a full-fledged course, and I will host it on Udemy. I'm planning to make it free initially. So I'm not quite sure on the side, like I will make it paid version, because a lot of people who get free content, they don't respect the value of that. So that is something like, once I create the full course, I will decide whether I'm going to put it on YouTube or Udemy, free of cost or cost. That will decide later on. All right, so I will end the stream right now. Thank you so much for joining. You have been a lovely audience. Around 20 to 30 people were watching me live, and we discussed a lot of things about responsive design. And the main point which you have to take from this live stream, that never ever make your design based on the width or height of the screen. So don't scale up thing, don't shrink the things based on the device. Just let the design flow itself. You just guide it with the alignment and give it a little bit of padding. Write some conditional layouts that make it not more than 600, make it not less than this many pixels, make it the column, more columns on the bigger device. So you just have to adapt to the device, not just scale on the device, right? So this is the biggest point I wanted to make clear, because I have seen a lot of people doing these mistakes. So I thought, let's create a tutorial on that. Let's create a session, awareness session, that the controls, the interactable controls, they should be of the same size irrespective of the device. If your input is 50 pixel, make it 50 pixel on all the device. And also you don't have to define the size. Keep it as it is. It's going to take the basic size. And if you have to define some size, make sure how does it look to you, how does it a readable form, and then keep the same size on all the devices. Okay. All right, so thank you so much once again. I showed one question, but I didn't answer that. How can solve during keyboard pop-up more than 4 text field alignment problem? So you have to add a scroll view. So if you have a page where you have 4 text field, just like this one, right? So you may see like this is fitting fine. You don't need any scroll view or something like that. But when you click on this last one, say for example, the last one where you want to type something, the keyboard appears and it will hide your field itself. So just wrap everything in a single child controller. So basically you can wrap everything inside a column first, and that column you can wrap with a single child scroll view if you're working on Flutter. Makes sense? All right, thank you so much guys for joining this live stream. I will see you in the next one. I'll make a highlight of this video. So this live stream will be there on my channel in the form of highlight. You can watch it anytime. You can get the sneak peek of the video, and that's it. Make sure you hit the like button, write down your feedback in the comment section also once the live stream is over, and subscribe the channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much. I will see you guys in the next one.